What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode 136. Yes, 136. Hopefully, everybody had a beautiful day today. It is Monday, February 23rd, 2026 of year of our Lord. Hopefully, everybody had a good day today. It is Monday, the beginning of the week. This means it's the first episode of the greatest afternoon show in the world. You ain't got to believe it, but I believe it. That's all that matters. Hopefully, everybody had a good day today. And like always, we got a lot of topics to go over. Now, just some housekeeping first. Remember, if you ever disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment. Let's have a discussion about it. I'm not going to say I'm always right. I'm not going to say I know everything. So please, let's have a discussion. If you think I misunderstood the video, whatever it is, let's talk about it. If you even got some suggestions on the show, I've seen some people talking about that. Hey, if you think I'm sounding stupid, let's talk about it. That's all that matters. Let's have a discussion. Now, you know how the show goes. We are meet Monday through Friday at around 6 o'clock. We're a little later than 6 o'clock today, but around 6 o'clock, where we go over 4 different topics. They're just topics I found that we need to discuss. But you know how I like to do it. Let's jump right into it. And how Future say, let's have a sensational show today, y'all. But the first topic we're going to be discussing today on this beautiful Monday is we got to go to Mexico. I don't know, you've probably seen it, but a lot of things have been happening in Mexico. We got Mexico erupts in chaos after a cartel leader has been killed. So we've got a few videos to look at, and then may go into an AI breakdown, but we'll see how we're feeling after we watch the videos. But let's get over into it and see what we can come up. Let's jump into it.
Erupted across Mexico following the killing of the country's most wanted drug leader, known as El Mencho, in a military operation on Sunday. You can see smoke billowing into the sky there in this resort town on Mexico's Pacific coast. A witness says fires are ongoing and smell like burning rubber. Officials say suspected members of organized crime groups unleashed the wave of violence after the death of El Mencho. He was a former police officer who was one of the world's most wanted traffickers. He led the powerful Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or the CJNG. CNN's Valeria Leon has more details for us.
Fire, smoke, and chaos across several Mexican states. Cities brought to a standstill as criminal groups retaliate after Mexico's most wanted drug leader died following a military operation Sunday. Blocked highways, drivers forced out of their cars at gunpoint, trucks and buses set on fire. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, a former police officer known to most as El Mencho, was the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, wounded during a Mexican military operation and later died while being transported to Mexico City. The U.S. played a role in Sunday's operation, according to U.S. defense officials, though it's unclear to what extent. As fear spread, many Mexicans spoke out calling for an end to the violence.
People are aware of this violence, and what they want is peace, to live in harmony and justice, not in war.
Blockades were reported across various states, and classes were suspended in at least 3 states as officials tried to contain the violence and keep civilians off the streets.
I'm tired of seeing this continue every single day.
Under El Mencho's command, the cartel expanded rapidly, challenging rivals like the Sinaloa cartel for control of territory and trafficking routes. According to U.S. and Mexican officials, El Mencho managed to avoid capture for years. His detention and death is one of the most significant blows to organized crime in recent years, and the first high-profile operation under President Claudia Sheinbaum.
It's crazy to think how deeply rooted the cartel is, that one of the leaders gets killed and chaos happens across the whole Mexico. Absolutely crazy. Let's keep going.
The fall of El Mencho may mark a major security milestone, but with tourism, foreign investment, and security for the 2026 World Cup at stake, the world is watching how Mexico handles what comes next. Valeria Leon, CNN, Mexico City.
Well, the violence across Mexico has left some American tourists who've been asked to remain indoors stranded. Travis Dejanay from Los Angeles is stuck in Puerto Vallarta and joins us now. Travis, thank you so much for being with us. We are so sorry that you and, of course, the locals are going through all of this. What is it like where you are right now? Can you just describe the atmosphere and what you've been seeing so far?
Sure. Thank you, Ben. At the very moment, it's about 11:10 p.m. It's eerily quiet outside. And I say that listening from my windows, not from the streets, because we have been locked down for the duration of the day. It's been a day filled with anxiety. It started very fast and very loud. There was a bit of an information vacuum for the first few hours. There was a lot of anecdotal and social media reporting, so to speak, filling in some of those gaps for people. But we really were counting on each other to report to each other what were you seeing on the street. We shared a lot of videos, a lot of photo, and it was pretty terrifying. There were some sites that I personally saw just outside my Airbnb unit that I would have never have imagined. It really did look and feel like a war zone. And I think that feeling of anxiety, that feeling of what does happen next or what could happen next is driving what a lot of people are feeling right now. At the very moment, though, the streets, from what I can tell and from what I'm reading on social media, are quite quiet. So I think we're all in a little bit of a holding pattern to see what does or what could happen next.
And to see a shelter-in-place warning in what should be a vibrant touristy area, what was your first reaction when things started happening so suddenly?
Unprecedented, I think, is the word that a lot of people would use. I've been coming to Puerto Vallarta for years, and it's a city in a country that I love immensely. It's a beautiful city filled with warm, generous people. And it's also a place where Canadian tourists, American tourists, and tourists from around the world do see a safe haven, a bit of a paradise. So it is jarring to have that contrast, and especially when you see some of the visuals, some of the sites that actually do look like a war zone in a place that has been celebrated as such a paradise. It has been, of course, very jarring. And again, the speed and the loudness with which it all happened was literally alarming. You didn't really have time to think about like what's happening. You really just want to see what's on the ground, see what's out your window.
Well, these pictures we're seeing while you're speaking are very, very scary. So sorry you're going through that. Are people actually following the shelter-in-place warnings, or have you seen some movement and activity regardless of that alert?
There has been some movement. I've been going out on the balcony of my unit just to see what's going on, mostly during the day. And around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, you did start to see more and more people start to venture out. And I myself, I actually got in the elevator of my building, and there was another pair of tourists in the elevator, and we all were kind of deciding, like, or thinking about, do we want to go out? Do we want to try to see what's open? Especially with lack of food and in some cases lack of drinkable water, people are really starting to wonder and ask, when will it be safe for me to go out and explore? When will it be safe for me to maybe go to a store? Will the stores be open? Is it safe for employees to get here? I think those are all questions we're dealing with. Generally, though, I am seeing a great deal of respect for the lockdown and the shelter-in-place measure. And I think that's evidenced by what we're reading on social media right now. People saying the streets sound so quiet, the city sounds so quiet.
These pictures are insane.
That's a crazy, I didn't even think about drinkable water. That's crazy. Let's keep going.
My goodness. Can you just tell us more about the violence that people are seeing firsthand? Tourists seeing these roadblocks and burned vehicles and a heavy military presence suddenly. It's mad.
Absolutely. I mean, I woke up to what I thought was a building demolition happening next door. And when I looked outside, I hadn't yet seen, there were some cars diagonally parked in some of the major intersections around my unit. And within maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours, each of those was lit on fire. And I actually did see I saw and heard and smelled a group of criminals set a car on fire and run. So the city does smell like burnt rubber at the moment. I went up to the roof of my building, and there was a thin layer of ash and some embers around, and you just seen multiple plumes of smoke in the sky, in the horizon throughout the day. And that was one of the other eerie parts, seeing that you could visually spot the spread in the number of violent cases going on at any one time. And you definitely still feel and smell that hanging in the air. So it is quite jarring. The noise, the visuals, the light, the sound, all of it, and especially the suddenness with which it came on this morning, I think it really did alarm a lot of people.
Now, it has to be it's probably like, I mean, I've never been in one, but it's probably like to most people or ordinary people, like looks like a war zone outside happening just in a place where you come to just have a good vacation. Now, let's pivot over into a few more videos and just get a little more information.
We're getting an update on the violence in Mexico. The military there killed the country's most powerful drug lord.
We learned this morning dozens of Mexican National Guard members were also killed. Eyewitness News reporter David Gonzalez is live in our newsroom with the latest on this. David.
Good morning. Mexico's president is urging people to remain calm after violence exploded in parts of the country yesterday. People were asked to shelter in place. Now some U.S. citizens are stuck in Mexico waiting to come home. Chaos erupts in parts of Mexico after one of the world's most wanted drug lords is killed. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, died in a shootout with the Mexican military as they tried to capture him near Puerto Vallarta. New video posted online and verified by ABC News shows the military operation against El Mencho. Gunshots or explosions and helicopters can be heard near a wooded area next to a cabin complex where the cartel leader was hiding out. Jalisco New Generation cartel members responded by blocking roads and setting vehicles on fire. President Claudia Sheinbaum says 25 National Guard members were killed in attacks in the state of Jalisco. But Mexican authorities promise peace and security. Today, President Sheinbaum says more than 250 cartel roadblocks across 20 states have been cleared. She added there is greater calm as things go back to normal. Americans are being told to avoid travel until it is deemed safe.
You could see the fear in people's eyes. I mean, they were very, very, very concerned.
We're all just under the shelter in place, told not to go anywhere, lock your doors, stay inside.
The U.S. assisted in the operation by providing information and intelligence, but the attempted capture of El Mencho was carried out by Mexican forces. And Mexican authorities say more than 30 cartel members were killed in this attack. Another 70 also have been arrested across the country. Live in the newsroom, David Gonzalez, ABC 7.
It's a crazy situation out there. Let's go over to one more video.
There are fears the killing of Mexico's most wanted drug kingpin could trigger more waves of violence. In a news conference this morning, President Claudia Sheinbaum said peace and security are being maintained. The defense secretary revealed the government learned the location of Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes by tracking one of his romantic partners. Chicagoans in Mexico.
That's how it always happens. They track the woman and they lead her right to her.
Wait for the all clear.
Started seeing smoke below us. We thought it was one of the apartments. We had no idea what was going on.
West Ridge resident Elena Overa and her wife Mona Corey are still in disbelief about their situation. They last visited Puerto Vallarta 20 years ago.
Here we are 20 years later, and we get this is our dream vacation turned into a nightmare.
Known as El Mencho, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes led the Jalisco New Generation cartel. The DEA says the cartel is a main source of cocaine coming into Chicago, also a major producer of fentanyl and methamphetamines. El Mencho was killed after Mexico's Army Special Forces raided a home in the town of Talpalpa Sunday. Violence erupted across 20 states. Cartel members responded by torching businesses, cars, and buses, and then using the burning vehicles to block roads. Lakeview resident Yanni Pizer, his husband, and some friends found themselves in the middle of the chaos while on their way to go whale watching.
Suddenly there was a young man running towards us with a gun in his hand. And he ran up to me. I was driving the car, pointed the gun through the window and yelled in Spanish, "Get out of the car."
Mexico's defense secretary says 8 other cartel members were killed during the military operation. 25 members of the country's National Guard were killed in clashes across Jalisco. Holly Lickman has visited Puerto Vallarta every February for decades.
I mean, we're still up in our room today. Haven't had any more information. And, you know, it's hard to know what to trust.
Jennifer Keltner says it has been a quiet morning. She's hoping to board a flight home later today.
All you really have to do is look down the hill and see that everything's kind of calm. So I'm surprised at that. I expected more last night. So far, I'm checked in. So we'll see. I'm not going to run up to the airport just yet, but so far my flight is on.
Elena Olvera and her wife are debating whether to cut their trip short.
We're going to talk about it and probably stick it out.
El Mencho was also wanted in the U.S., which offered a $15 million reward for information leading to his capture. The White House says it provided intelligence support for the military operation. Back to you.
It's a crazy situation happening in Mexico right now. Be careful. At the end of the day, just be careful. No matter if it's this situation or any other situation, you never know when something can pop off. A lot of times you won't be able to control it, or you won't be able to help the situation. You just gotta go with it. But listen to the directives of the authorities. If they tell you to stay in the house, stay in the house. And then if you think you need to cut your trip early, cut your trip early. It's not worth your dream vacation. Is not worth your life. At the end of the day, it's not worth your life. But that is what's happening in Mexico. We got, I think they said at least 73 people have died in total. It's a crazy situation. And they're saying like they said, some people they're trying to capture some tourists. Man, just be careful whenever you go anywhere and to a different country. I wonder if some people, overall, this is crazy. But let me know your thoughts on this situation, y'all. How do you feel about this situation? But the hooks that the cartel has into Mexico is unimaginable. Absolute crazy situation. Like I said, let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We're going to pivot over into, got to come back to the States. But the world, this video just proves that the world can be a terrible place. We got 2 special needs children who were found living in, they call it squalor, but if you don't know what that means, it's living in absolute filth, just being neglected in Michigan. We got some body cam footage and then just some news reports, but we'll go over into it to see what we can find out about this horrible situation. Then we'll go into the AI breakdown just to see if they give us any more information. At the end of the day, I always say this: look after your kids, or you need to rot in prison. It's as simple as that. But let's get over into it and see what we can make of this whole situation.
We're going to go back to Dave Kinchin in Flint Township, covering a horrific case of child abuse. And a mother is charged after leaving her 2 small children in Squalor. Dave, there's some video of this, some body camera footage, absolutely awful to watch.
Yeah, it really is. We were talking about that in the newsroom earlier today. This just shows you how crazy our world is, but this is the kind of thing that can absolutely be prevented. Police crediting a neighbor for calling 911 and stepping in. We do want to warn you, this video is very difficult to watch. This is body-worn camera footage from a Flint Township police officer and what they found when they went into this house on a simple welfare check.
Oh, Jesus. There's a little kid. Yep. Hey, buddy. We got 2 kids, one completely naked and the other one's covered in. Would you mind getting a couple safety blankets so we can get them wrapped up in the cars?
Well, it was a 911 call from a neighbor. A 911 call from a neighbor sensing something was wrong that led to this discovery. The officers seeing trash covering the floors, feces smeared along the walls at the height of a child, we're told, and a faucet running endlessly. One of the kids, and this is just heartbreaking, one of the kids was seen trying to eat raw, spoiled meat, according to an officer there. Another curled up on the bedroom floor, no clean clothes, no food in the kitchen, no phone or tablet to call for help. And remember, these are small children with special needs, according to investigators. Police say they were left this way on their own for days as their mother simply walked away with no caregiver stepping in. Prosecutors charging Crystal Farmer with multiple counts of felony child abandonment and felony child abuse in the 2nd degree. Even retired law enforcement experts who have seen everything are in shock because of scenes like this one.
Now, let me say something. Some people will be like, oh, well, she was obviously going through a lot. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you're going through. These are your children. You have to look after them. And because you didn't, anything could have happened. It's 2 small special needs children left alone to care for themselves. You got one kid trying to eat small meat because he's so hungry. Nah, send her to jail. Send her straight to jail. Take the kids away. Put them in foster care or somewhere else. Some people be like foster care is not even better. But come on now, what can be worse than this? Absolute crazy. Let's keep going.
You go home and actually you pray and you say, God, give me the strength to get through this, and then you hate to take it home to your husband or your wife, and they're like, what's wrong? And because it wasn't just another day, and you hug your kid, you hug your wife, and there's times it brings you to tears because these are helpless kids, and what the hell's wrong with people? How can you do that?
Yeah, that really is the big question. Now, we do know police here in Flint Township said they had to sort through the mother's lies, so she was charged with allegedly lying to police. We also know that police are crediting that neighbor for stepping in and calling 911, saying it's an example of if you see something wrong, you have to say something. There's a lot of questions, obviously, still in all of this. A lot of things we really don't know, but what we do know is those kids are safe right now. That's the big thing. They are safe at this time. Reporting in Flint Township, Dave Kinchin, Fox 2 News.
Absolutely tragic situation. Let's go over to the next video to get a little bit more information.
With coverage you can count on, this is WNAN TV5 News.
I never, ever could have imagined that was actually what was going on in that house.
Surprise, sadness, and criminal charges after a disturbing discovery inside this Flint Township home. During a welfare check, police discovered 2 small children with special needs who had been left alone.
And a warning, some of you may find the video from this story upsetting. TV5's Trey Harris walks us through what officers encountered.
Right here behind this door, detectives say 2 special needs children were left alone for days. And police say it all changed because one person decided to make a call.
It started with the welfare check.
Flint Township Police, are we in here?
Officers knock, then step inside.
Oh, Jesus. There's a little kid. Yep. Hey, buddy.
What they find hard to watch.
Kids back here in the bathroom. Check that other room.
Trash stacked so thick they can't walk normally.
I got a kid down in here. I got a kid back here.
Are they okay?
No. You can hear the cry. This is awful. You can just hear the crying of the kid.
Hey, buddy. Where's mommy and daddy at?
Feces smeared along the walls at a child's height.
This is... Jeez, where
no
you
food
at?
ready, no clean clothes,
Where you at?
no adult in sight.
We got 2 kids, one completely naked and the other one's covered in... Would you mind getting a couple safety blankets so we can get them wrapped up in the cars?
Police say one child was trying to eat raw, spoiled meat. The other curled up on the floor.
Hey, buddy, you want tight? I got cheese getting them some blankets. We're going to pop them in.
Detectives say the children, both with special needs, have been left alone for days. Days without supervision, days without routine, days without protection.
Hey, buddy, can you follow my partner?
Neighbors say something didn't feel right and that their concerns were raised months ago.
I think that this has gone on at least since September. I never, ever could have imagined that was actually what was going on in that house.
Today, Genesee County Prosecutor's Office authorized charges against the mother, Crystal Farmer, including 2 counts of felony child abandonment and multiple child abuse charges. Police say the children are now safe and that this is the kind of call that stays with you. Because sometimes the difference between tragedy and rescue is one neighbor willing to see something and say something.
100%. This is... Some people wouldn't have said anything. Some people would just be like, it's none of my business, which is absolutely crazy to think about. But let's go over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about this awful situation. So as we know, in February, 2 special needs children ages 1 and 3 were rescued from a Flint Township, Michigan home after being left abandoned for several days in deplorable conditions. The case came to light after a neighbor requested a welfare check on February 18th, leading to the following discovery. So officers found the floor caked in trash so thick that they could not take a normal step. Feces smeared on the wall, and a faucet left running that was flooding the floor. One child was found attempting to eat raw, spoiled meat from the floor to survive, while the other was found curled up on the floor. Investigators determined that the child had been left entirely alone without food, clean clothes, or adult supervision for days. So the mother, Crystal Farmer, was arrested and faces 7 felony charges, including 2 counts of felony child abandonment, multiple counts of second-degree child abuse, 1 count of lying to a peace officer during a violent crime investigation. As of February 23rd, 2026, Farmer has been arraigned with bond. Why should she give her bond? Bond set at $64,000. The children were rescued and are reportedly safe. Oh, God. Do we know what the condition of the children were when they were found? So their condition reportedly extremely hungry. 1 child was found attempting to eat. The second child was found curled up on the floor or under trash in the bedroom. At least 1 child was covered in feces, and they lacked clean clothes or any adult supervision. They special needs children who relied heavily on routine. They were found in a state of confusion turned into fear, with no way to communicate with the outside world. They were living in a home flooded by a running faucet with trash caked up so thick the floors they could not take a normal step. This is a crazy situation. So up next for her, we have a probable cause conference of Farmers is scheduled to appear in court March 5th, 2026 at 11 a.m. This hearing will determine if there's enough evidence of the case to proceed to preliminary hearings. So her bond was set at $64,000 by the judge, which I don't understand. Some of these people like this need to not allowed out, no matter if they can make the bond or not. Just give them no bond. But I guess that's some of the laws you can't do that. So if convicted of the 7 felonies, which include child abandonment and second-degree child abuse, Farmer faces a maximum of 10 years. Hopefully, I hope she would get the maximum, but we got to be honest, we don't know. While a criminal case progresses, a separate legal process through the Michigan Child Protective Services will determine the long-term placement of the children who are currently reported to be safe and out of the home. There are some sick people in this world who don't deserve to have children. I know 2 special needs kids got to be hard, but there are plenty of services to use to do something. And there's no way they should be abandoned for days. And then the neighbor I'm assuming that's the neighbor who called the welfare check in and said that it's been looking bad since September. So does she go off multiple times and just leave them? Then comes back? The world is filled with demons. The world is filled with demons. Let me know your thoughts on this story, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Pray for the world, y'all. Pray for the world. This is a crazy situation. Like I said, if you disagree with anything I said, please let me know. We're going to pivot over into the next topic we're going to get over into, and then we got a woman fentanyl serial killer. That's what they calling her a serial killer. It sounds like she was basically she set men up for sex, drug them, and I guess when she drugged them, she ended up killing them. It's crazy situation. We got a few videos to look at it, and of course we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about this whole thing. Let's get into it and see if we can make it this whole situation.
A Columbus woman will serve at least 60 years for the murder of 4 men. Rebecca Auburn pleaded guilty to 4 counts of murder and 1 count of felonious assault back in December. According to the Attorney General's office, she was meeting men for sex in Northeast Columbus, then drugging the men to steal their belongings. 10 TV's Carla Rogner was in the courtroom and joins us live with that story. Carla.
Yeah, there was a lot of emotion in the courtroom from both sides today, from Rebecca Auburn and the victims' families. Rebecca took full accountability for the murders, but her defense says that she was addicted to fentanyl at the time and was a victim of sex trafficking. The judge said she's empathetic to what Auburn has been through, but today's sentencing was about the victims. Families of the victims filed into the courtroom, eager for justice after their loved ones' murders in 2023.
You made a life-altering decision in the midst of despair.
Kristen Aiken's father, Wayne, was found dead on his 64th birthday.
Dear Rebecca, my father would have never hurt you. He wasn't like any man you may have encountered. He was kind, he was gentle, he was loving, he was awkward and so tender. My father was loved, he was cared for. He put a lot of good into the world.
The brother of another victim said the day after he was murdered, he confronted Auburn and she denied having anything to do with it.
There's no punishment that is going to be sufficient enough to bring him back. There's no punishment that's going to be commensurate with the deeds that she did.
Auburn's defense says the murders happened when she was addicted to fentanyl herself and a victim of sex trafficking. Auburn says she's no longer the same person and apologized to the families.
If you look at my mugshot, you can see the emptiness in my eyes.
I'm not going to stop it too much. We got to back up. So this is the woman they were meeting for sex. And then I guess after they finished, she ended up injecting them with fentanyl. One on the dude's birthday, 64-year-old birthday. And tried to steal their belongings, but they overdosed because...
If you look at my mugshot, you can see the emptiness in my eyes. I tried to fill that emptiness with drugs, not sleeping or eating for days and days on end.
After court, Aiken says she forgives her.
It felt like closure. A lot of times you endure things in life that you never get an apology for. And so to be able to not only speak my heart, but to have her apologize back, I felt like it was very healing for me. It's been a long 2.5 years, and so we can now grieve.
Yeah, the families say that they are looking forward to having this closure. Now, the man that the judge called Rebecca's handler and pimp was arrested back in 2024 as part of a drug and trafficking ring. His name is Timotheus Graham, but prosecutors say he also goes by Blue. His case is pending in court right now. Prosecutors say they plan to go after him next. Reporting live at the court.
So her pimp, basically, her pimp was arrested. This is a crazy situation. Now, I wonder, I don't think you should, first of all, do the crime, got to do the time. She ended up drugging these men, killing them, or drugging them to steal from them. And they end up overdosing, I'm assuming. But the question is, my question is it the pimp who told her to do all this? Did the pimp tell her to go through, sleep with them, drug them, and stake their belongings? But she still has to face time for her. She still has to face some time for her punishment. Would you be able to just let all that go because it was ultimately done by her pimp who most likely was abusing her? But we don't know for sure. She might have not. We don't know. But let's go over into this next video and see if they give us any more details.
Rebecca Auburn now on her way to spend years and years behind bars after admitting to killing 4 men. But before she was sent to her prison cell, she came face to face with her victims' families. Rebecca Auburn highly emotional as the families of 3 of her murder victims told her how her deadly actions changed their lives forever. There's no punishment that is going to be sufficient enough to bring him back. There's no punishment that's going to be commensurate with the deeds that she did. But we are going to get justice today. Christine Aiken's father, Wayne, lost his life in April 2023 and was found dead on his 64th birthday.
Dear Rebecca, my father would have never hurt you. He wasn't like any man you may have encountered. He was kind.
Auburn pleading guilty in December, admitting to luring 4 men to Columbus motels for sex and then drug them with fentanyl. to steal their valuables, including their cars and credit cards, during a 6-month period that began in December 2022. Osborne telling a packed courtroom Thursday, filled with victims' family members. She's a different person today, not the one who was a heavy user of drugs and being sexually exploited when she committed the deadly crimes.
I take full accountability and responsibility for my actions. No matter what happens here today, I respect the judgment of the justice system, and I will continue to pray for you all every day.
I think I would have been really upset if she hadn't spoken, actually. But since she spoke and she apologized, I do believe that. I believe her.
The judge sentencing Osborne to consecutive sentences for the 4 murders, ordered to serve 60 years to life in prison, and a 5th sentence related to a man who was drugged but got away.
I'm completely relieved. This was exactly what we wanted. The first thing that we wanted was for her to take full accountability. The second was we wanted her to serve a life sentence.
If Osborne is released from prison, she'll be placed on 5 years probation. On your side, Steve Levine, ABC 6 News.
Thank you for watching.
Now, this is a tragic situation, but the question still, yes, I think that the time sentence that she got is good. Yes, you might have been in an awful position at the time, high on drugs, fentanyl, a constant user of fentanyl. May have been even told to do some of this stuff. But you have to face punishment for your actions. At least that's my thinking. But tell me what y'all are thinking. Do you think that since it was her pimp who most likely or possibly set her up to do all this stuff, I don't know if he told her to drug them and try to steal from them or not. But do you think that her actions could be wiped away because the pimp was the one who told her to do this? I don't think so. I think, yes, the pimp should get more time. Maybe the sentence could be lenient. But at the end of the day, she has to face some kind of punishment for her actions, high on drugs or not. At least that's my thinking. Let's go over into the AI breakdown just so we can get a little bit more information or see if they tell us any more information. So as we know, on the ruling in February 19th, the 35-year-old Rebecca was sentenced to 60 years in prison for the serial murder of 4 men she fatally overdosed with fentanyl. So she pleaded guilty back in December 2025 to 4 counts of murder and 1 count of felonious assault. So the judge handed down 4 consecutive life sentences under the arrangement. She would serve 60 years, 15 years for each life term before becoming eligible for parole. So she's 35. So she's going to have to be at least live to 95 years old for her to be eligible for parole. And then they said they'll give her 5 years of parole, 5 years of probation after that. So the men killed were identified as Wayne Aiken, Robert Stokes, Joseph Crumber, and Guy Rennell Jr. A 5th man was drugged but survived. Authorities stated that Osborne, working as a sex worker, met these men for sex between 2022 and 2023. She would secretly dose them with lethal amounts of fentanyl with the intent to rob them while they were incapacitated. Ohio Attorney General described the sentences as a reflection of her disregard for life and her callous not only to kill, but to do it repeatedly during the sentencing. Osborne expressed that she was truly sorry for her actions. This is a crazy situation, but still goes to show. She did it multiple times. Could she have been forced by her pimp? Yes, it's possible. But does that take away from what she did? At least I don't think so. But you might feel differently. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy situation, y'all. It happened on one dude's 65th birthday or 64th. He was trying to buy some cat. That's how you say it. Ends up dying. It's a horrible way to go. That's a horrible way for your family to find out. But let me know your thoughts on this whole situation, y'all. Absolutely crazy situation. We're going to pivot now into our last topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go to Walmart. Walmart, one of the place where the craziest stuff always happens. We got Walmart armed shoplifter who ended up being killed by an off-duty cop. Hey, let's go see what this is all about. Looks like he was a teen as well. And let's see what all this whole situation is about and see if we can learn from this situation. I believe we hear from the off-duty cop as well. But let's get into it. Let's get into it.
We've just received the name of a 16-year-old that was shot and killed here at the Walmart in Poinciana. I'm News 6's Jana Manahal, and that 16-year-old's name is Jarius Jones.
It was around 8 p.m. Thursday inside the Walmart on Cypress Parkway when the Osceola Sheriff's Office says a Walmart loss prevention notified an off-duty Osceola County deputy of 3 men possibly shoplifting. The deputy and the store's asset protection team approached the 3 suspects, but what followed ended in gunshots. Officials now confirm the suspect who was shot and killed was 16-year-old Jarius Jones of Poinciana.
So the next step in this case is reaching out to any family members that Jarius might have had. Of course, that includes his mother. We went to the home of the mother and knocked on the door. When she answered, I spoke with her for a little bit, and overall she said she's not ready to go on camera just yet, but she said she's absolutely devastated about this whole incident.
The 2 others who the sheriff's office says were with Jones, one juvenile and a man in his 20s, ran from the scene but were later found by deputies, though authorities aren't releasing their names or charges at this time.
This, of course, is still an active investigation that FDLE is forefronting. Now, if you have any information or would like more on this story, you can head to clickorlando.com.
And we're going to go over to the next video to get more on this.
You can count on.
Tonight on Eyewitness News at 6, a 16-year-old suspected shoplifter was shot and killed inside of a crowded Walmart last night during a deadly confrontation with Osceola County deputies.
People were screaming, hollering, grabbing the children, clutching them.
Right now, we are pressing the sheriff's office for answers, like how many shots were fired, and did they find a gun on the now dead teenager? And just moments ago, we spoke with someone who was inside the store, had a gun, and witnessed the whole thing. Good evening, I'm Greg Warmoth.
I'm Martha Sagowski. Only Channel 9 talked to one of the armed bystanders you see in that video right there, just within the past 30 minutes. And we learned about what happened firsthand from that gentleman. We have live team coverage beginning with Channel 9's JJ Burton. And JJ, you literally just interviewed this guy moments ago. And he has all the details about what happened, and he's telling you all of it.
Yeah, it was about a 20-minute or so interview. His name is Yamil Villanueva. He's a correction officer, and like you said, he was in that video you saw. And he says that he had just bought his stuff, paid for his stuff. He was with a family member, and he heard commotion. He sent the family member out, and he had his gun on him. It was concealed, though. And then he saw the deputy tell the guy to stop. He says he saw the gun that on the 16-year-old, but he didn't realize the guy was 16, the kid was 16. He says he saw the gun fall, and the deputy tell the kid to not pick up the gun, but he still tried to pick up the gun, and he says the deputy had no choice. I want to hear you can hear from him here.
Basically what it was, officer was telling, the other person to stay here, don't go anywhere, we got to figure something out. The guy didn't want to comply. He was trying to run away, and officer got in his way and told him, listen, we got to figure something out. And then he tried to pull out his gun and run, and then the gun fell. And the officer directed him not to pick up the gun and leave the gun on the floor. Do not pick it up. He didn't comply. He disobeyed the lawful order, and he tried to pick up the gun. And, civilians around and all that stuff going on, the emotions. We just don't know if he was going to be a threat and shoot civilians or shoot within civilian point of view. And officer went downrange and
And he was adamant, too. He adamant that the officer did exactly what he was supposed to do. Now, what he says is that he had his gun on him, but he didn't pull his gun out. Yamil didn't. He says that he told the officer, I'm an ally. I'm an off-duty corrections officer, and I'm an ally. And the officer told him what had happened. He told him to watch out, though, because there were 2 other suspects with him, and they had taken off, but he wasn't sure where they were. And so he just stood next to that officer, had his hand on his gun. He didn't take it out. And again, he says he saw this suspect that have the gun fall, and the suspect tried to get the gun. He didn't realize that he was 16. He says that the suspect had facial hair and he looked like he was in his 20s. So he was surprised when he found out today that this guy was 16. Greg and Martha?
JJ, great job getting that interview, and I know that you're still processing that. We'll play a lot more of that tonight, but did he see anything that they had stolen or had concealed? Because originally this came in as shoplifting, obviously ended very violently and deadly as well. Did he see any items on these young people?
No, he didn't even see the other 2 suspects, but he didn't see that he didn't see what was stolen or if anything was stolen. He heard commotion and he heard the deputy tell the guy to stop. He saw the gun fall, and that's when he says he stood next to the deputy and told the deputy that I'm an ally, I can help you, I'm an off-duty correction officer. And that's when he stood there and listened to what the deputy was saying. But yeah, he didn't see anything that was stolen or what, if anything, was stolen.
All right.
Now, if it went down like that, I don't see any problem with it. I truly don't see any problem with it. It's a tragic situation that our young men aren't being taught properly, aren't being raised correctly, to where we have a 16-year-old and they said 2 other people, most like, one is a juvenile, one in the 20s. All these people lack parental guidance to where they shoplift. And then especially shoplift, but then you try to get into a gunfight with an officer or take a gun in general. Shoplifting's one thing, which, yes, you need to be punished for your actions if you shoplift. But you shoplift with a gun? You need to be in jail for the longest time. Let's keep going and finish up this video.
Thank you, JJ. Just as a reminder, I mean, he had a concealed carry permit. He's a corrections officer, and when JJ interviewed him, he had the weapon on him today. All right, we'll hear more from that person tonight, and thank you for that interview. That was compelling. Our live team coverage on this developing story continues with Channel 9's Sabrina Majori. She joins me now live from the Walmart there in Poinciana, where this went down at 8 o'clock last night. Sabrina, no arrests have been made of those other 2 people that were at least questioned today.
Yeah, Greg, the sheriff's office says it is still early in their investigation, so they haven't announced any arrests. They have not announced any charges, but they do say those 2 suspects include another minor and a man who was in his 20s. Now, if you take a look behind us here at this Walmart where this all happened, it really seems as if things are back to normal. I was inside just a little bit ago. People are shopping. You wouldn't even notice that the shooting happened, again, less than 24 hours ago.
Check your peoples, man.
This video taken inside of a Poinciana Walmart captures the moment just after an officer-involved shooting. Because of its graphic nature, we blurred the video, but it shows a 16-year-old shoplifting suspect lying on the ground. 2 other men can be seen with their guns drawn. The Osceola County Sheriff's Office said 3 armed Good Samaritans volunteered to help after the shooting. Osceola County Sheriff Christopher Blackman said an employee inside the store who was monitoring for shoplifting spotted 3 suspects hiding merchandise under their clothes and heading towards the door. That's when the sheriff says his deputy approached the suspects.
The loss prevention officer and our deputy attempted to meet those men at the front of the store, and when they did, one of the gentlemen took off running, had a gun in his hand. And with that said, our deputy fired downrange at the suspect and took him out. He had a gun in his hand running through the store.
But during this 1-minute press conference, the sheriff didn't answer any questions about how many shots were fired, share if the 16-year-old suspect fired any shots, or clarify what role the armed bystanders played in this response. But the sheriff's office stated the deputy involved is now on leave as FDLE investigates whether the shooting was justified.
Normal.
And the sheriff's office has not identified any of the people involved in the shooting here so far, but they did say the 16-year-old mother was notified of his passing. The sheriff's office says that 16-year-old lived in Poinciana and had actually just turned 16 on December 30th. We're now reporting live in Poinciana. I'm Sabrina Majore, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Sabrina, good report. Thank you. Florida law does allow people to carry concealed weapons, which is what we saw play out last night, even without a permit. Experts say when regular citizens, though, pull guns during a crisis and backup officers arrive at the scene, those officers sometimes cannot immediately tell who is a helper and who's a threat.
That's understandable.
On one hand, you have good Samaritans that stood up and say, here, let us help you. On the other hand, you have 3 more people carrying guns.
Under Osceola County policy, we looked, deputies can only use deadly force to protect themselves or others from imminent danger or to stop a violent felony. Warning shots are prohibited. We will continue to follow this major story. Watch for any developments on air and online at WFTV.com.
Now, hopefully we get some body cam footage so we can actually look at what happened during this whole situation. But if it happened how the Good Samaritan who was interviewed stated it did, then I don't see a problem with it. If he dropped the gun, the officer told him do not pick up the gun, and he reaches for it again, in that situation, I can understand when shots are fired. But we got to remember what the other officer said about the Good Samaritans. We have to remember that. Now, even though, yes, I am 100% for always carrying your weapon. If you are in a state and you are allowed to carry your weapon, carry your weapon. But if an officer comes, it is a possibility that they won't know that you're an ally to them. They think you might be another suspect. So always follow lawful commands. If someone tells you to put your weapon down, put your weapon down. As simple as that. Now let's go over to the AI breakdown just to see if they tell us any more information. So on February 19th, an off-duty deputy shot and killed a 16-year-old Jarvis Jones during a shoplifting incident in Walmart in Florida. So the deputy was working as an off-duty security detail at Walmart when the loss prevention officer alerted him to 3 individuals who were concealing merchandise. Authorities stated that as the suspect fled, Jones was armed with a handgun, running towards other shoppers. The deputy fired his weapon to stop the threat, and the teen was pronounced dead. See, that sounds differently, because we've heard that twice. That sounds differently than the situation that the bystander, the one who was helping the officer, said that he dropped his gun. I would like to know exactly what happened. So we had 2 individuals involved. A juvenile and an adult in his 20s were later identified and accounted for by the sheriff's office. Florida Department of Law Enforcement is currently investigating the shooting to determine if the use of deadly force was justified. So yeah, so if he was just running away with the gun, I don't think they're allowed to shoot them. I might be mistaken, but just tell me what you're thinking. Now, like if it was the other way around, where he dropped the gun, he tried to pick it up again, I can see where you end up getting shot. This is a crazy situation. Hopefully we get more details when more information comes out. We get a body cam footage will be preferred, but we'll see what happens. Is it a lawful shoot or is it unlawful shoot? I think we need more details to determine, but if it happened like the bystander said, then I think it's lawful. But if he was just running away while holding his gun, if he wasn't pointing it at people, that might be considered unlawful. We'll have to wait and see, but let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Let me know if you think I missed the point or if I'm totally missing the whole issue. It's a crazy situation no matter how it is, but we still got to remember, why was he shoplifting with a pistol in the first place? Why was he shoplifting in the first place? All this comes back to home training, how your parents train you and raise you growing up. Why are you doing this? And he definitely should have been punished. Hopefully, but at the end of the day, we want to find out if it was a lawful shooting or an unlawful shooting, and the officer needs to be charged. Now, let me know your thoughts on that situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Now, that is the end of the show today, y'all. We talked about a lot of things. A lot of crazy things, like always. We talked about those 4 crazy topics. Now, like I always say, if you disagree with anything I said, or if you think I missed the point of the video, please, let's have a discussion about it. Let's have a discussion and let's talk about it. I'm not going to say I'm always right. I'm not going to say I know everything. Now, remember, the only thank you for watching now and thank you for watching later. The only way, or the best way to show your support for this channel, is all you got to do is hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. That's all you got to do to show support, is hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and hit that subscribe button. But that is it for the show today. You already know these videos will be broken down, and we will be back here tomorrow at 6 o'clock to go over 4 more crazy topics. Now, remember, if you ever want me to review a video, please you can leave a message in the comments, or you can send it over to my email. It's acreviewstheworld@gmail.com, a dot after the A and a dot after the C. But that is it for now, y'all. You already know I got to play that outro. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.